Welcome back to King's Backwoods Garage. Today we're going to be changing all of the fluids on the four-wheeler, the spark plug, the oil filter, and reinstalling the air filter, and hopefully by the end of this we get it started back up. Here's all of the supplies I showed you in the last video. And this is going to be part 3 of my, I guess you'd call it a rebuild series. If you have any suggestions as to things that I should put on this, maybe like a snorkel or maybe some cheap wheels and tires or something cool like that, go ahead and leave a comment down below. I'm open to all ideas and I want to make this thing look cool. You know, it's nothing too special, so who knows, maybe I'll just spray bed liner all over it and we can take it out into some deep mud sometime. Let me know what you think. Alright, so for visibility purposes, I went ahead and put the four-wheeler up on jack stands and then took the wheels off so it'd be a lot easier to see. And then also, since I've been taking this whole thing apart and cleaning up everything, I had most of the plastics off. So the first thing we're going to do here is drain the coolant. So for that, there is a little panel that goes right in here, right next to your little pull start. So you just need to take that off. That takes I believe an 11/16 socket, and then you can take that off. The other thing, one of the other things you need to do, the coolant reservoir, take the cap off of that. That looks pretty bad. I need to get that cleaned up. And then your radiator cap is right here behind the headlight. You're just going to want to take that out as well. Now I've already cracked this this bolt right here for the actual reservoir, this little drain bolt. So from there, we're just going to take it out, and hopefully you have something you can catch the fluid in. As you can see, it shoots pretty far. So that's what you're looking to do here. Once again, it's not usually that easy to take out. I already cracked it just so I could get this all on video to show you guys how this looks. Just wanted to throw a little correction in there. It's a 5/16 socket to take off all those little bolts that hold on that little cover, and then the drain bolt. And then on mine it was a 17mm socket. Took off the lug nuts. Alright, so I just pulled for the overflow tank on the coolant. There's a little hose. I don't know if you can see that. It's right up here, but it plugs into the back of this little coolant reservoir, and then you can drain the overflow tank. And then from here you just need to flush both the radiator and that coolant tank just to make sure you get out any nasty deposits or anything you don't want up in there. Okay, so you're going to spray some just plain tap water out of your hose. I put this nozzle on here to get it to go faster. You know, spray that down into the radiator and in the overflow reservoir. It'll clean everything out. You'll see as I'm doing this here, you'll see some of the what's left of the coolant coming out of the main drain way down here. There you go, you can see how that's coming out. So I'm just going to run this until it starts blowing out as just clear water. That's how I'll know that I've got it all the way properly flushed. And then after that's done, we can get to adding coolant back in. And whenever you add coolant back in, make sure you have all your drain plugged back in. The hose that goes to the overflow reservoir, you want that plugged back in too. Otherwise you're just going to be dumping coolant out. And then once you get that, how you think you get it finished up, when it's filled up in here with coolant, you'll have to start your four-wheeler and let it run. That'll let the coolant circulate back into the radiator, fill out anything that didn't get filled up just by gravity, and then you'll have to add some more coolant in. Okay, so I've got my drain plug back in, I've got my overflow reservoir hoses plugged back in. So now we're ready to add coolant. So the manual calls for 1.3 US gallons to fill it all the way up. That won't take that much right now because without the engine being on, there's no way for the radiator to circulate this coolant. So after I finally get this thing running, I'll have to check it again and refill. All right, so next thing we're going to do is an oil change. So right up here is your oil filter. Right here is your oil fill cap. As you can see on here, I don't know how well you can see that. Focus. Anyway, seems like it's been filled to the right level. And then down here is your drain plug, which I've already loosened up. So we'll go ahead and screw that off and get the oil flowing. All right, I got the old oil filter off. So this is a genuine Yamaha oil filter. Not sure if this was actually, you know, the second or third oil filter, or it might still be the first since it is genuine OEM, even though the air filter is a K&N aftermarket one. Here's the oil filter I got to replace it with. And I want to go on a little bit of a rant about oil filters. A lot of people, for some reason, think they just have to tighten the absolute crap out of an oil filter when they're putting it on. You really don't need to. You just need to go hand tight, and then if you want to put an oil filter wrench on it, and then go another quarter to a half turn, you're going to be fine. This one ended up really causing me some issues taking it off, just because it was on there so tight. Now, the other thing you want to make sure you do whenever you go to put your oil filter back on is make sure you get some oil on your hand, and then you put it around the rim of your new filter. So here I've got some Valvoline 10W40 4-stroke motorcycle oil. I'm going to get my finger in there, get a little bit of oil on it, and just lubricate this O-ring here before I put the new filter on. Okay, so we've got the drain plug and the oil filter in. So now all we need to do is go ahead and start filling it up. So one thing that the Yamaha engineers did that is really nice, if you look at the manual for this particular ATV, it says to a complete fill would be 3.07 US quarts. So from my experience, that full amount, that's to the absolute maximum fill line. So what's nice about that is you can buy exactly 3 quarts of oil, and then you're going to have the entire thing completely full. Obviously we'll double check that. It was just something that I thought was kind of nice, convenient, and smart that the Yamaha engineers did. Okay, we got 3 full quarts in there. Got my dipstick cleaned off. Not doing a very good job focusing. There you go. So let's see what we got. When you check this, you're supposed to put that in without screwing it in. And if we look here, looks like we're just perfect. It's not focusing very well once again, but as you can see, oil is right up to the top of that fill line. So it looks like 3 quarts was pretty much the perfect amount for us. Okay, so to do your final gear oil, you have to take this cover off of this, I'm going to say like a rear differential. And I don't know if you can see this down here, but the bolt I have to take off, this is your drain bolt. And it's pretty dirty, so that'll be fun taking that off. So this is where you fill the final drive oil, final gear oil, and it is supposed to be filled all the way up, basically to the point of leaking out. So, I mean, I don't know if this has ever been changed on here before, but you saw how dirty the drain bolt was. So I'm gonna assume no, but it looks like it's also a little bit low. So we're gonna get that taken care of. Okay, so I've got this drained and we're filling it back up. So what you're going to want to look for here is as you get closer to being filled all the way up, you'll get the fluid level to where it's just about to overflow, and that means you're full. Now there's no dipstick on the cap here for the filler. It's literally just keep going until you see it about to overflow. Alright, so I finished the gear oil changes. I got those topped off. Not sure how well the front ones are going to stay in there because CV axles here on both sides are ripped open. So I know the oil in those are going to leak apart, but hopefully the oil I just put in doesn't. So right here's the old spark plug. Here's what I'm going to replace it with. Now, you want to know where this is because the manual doesn't say anything about it. Right under where your gas tank would be, on the right hand side. It's right in here. That's where your spark plug goes in at. So I had to use a deep well socket, 3/4 inch socket to get the old one out. I guess the normal sizes would be like a 5/8 inch or 11/16 maybe. I don't know, my toolbox has 13/16 inch and 5/8 inch spark plug. I guess that's kind of a more normal, but maybe in Japan that's not the norm. So 3/4 inch it is. Go ahead and get that fastened back on, get the spark plug wire back on, and then here's the new battery. Get that hooked up, air filter back in, fuel tank back on and gassed up, and we should be ready to start this thing. Alright, well as you can see I've got a bit of a rat's nest of wires here. I wanted to try to avoid that, but it's getting dark, so I'm in a hurry. Alright, well I'm going to put fuel in it now I've got it all wired up. I've tested the key, so it's got power, so put some fuel in it, see if it'll start. Alright, we got some fuel in it. Choke some. See if she starts. Hell yeah. Oh, that didn't last long. Well, I'll have to see what's making it run rough, but hey, at least it got started tonight. Alright, so it's the next day, and if you can see down in there, the coolant level has went down as it circulated through the radiator whenever I got it started for a couple seconds yesterday. So I'm going to go ahead and top that off. Alright, well she's running. I don't know what happened between last night and right now, but it's running fine. I noticed last night there was a little bit of a fuel leak, so I thought maybe the fuel lines went bad, maybe they dried up and got holes in them, and that was what was causing it to run rough. But now that it's warmed up some, it seems to be running just fine. So I think that's where we're going to end the video for today. Thank you all for watching. I hope you tune in, subscribe for the next episode.